I get the opportunity to speak for Linda Goldthorpe at the movable wall, which carries a piece of my own heart all over the country. This is, I think, perhaps the most important reason I've ever gotten up to give a public speech. And I hope that what I've got to say honors our veterans and honors Linda Goldthorpe and honors you who've taken the time to come here and honor our beloved dead. You see, I also was affected by the Vietnam War, although it happened when I was a pretty small child. There were loved ones. My aunt was engaged to a young man. He was a twin. And the very instant that he was permitted to, he and his brother both enlisted. And I remember the day that a little bitty girl, gave this man, this big, strong, brave soldier, so handsome, a kiss goodbye. And we looked forward to him coming home, getting married to my aunt who was living with us, and being part of our family. And we loved him just as much as if he'd already done that. His name was Mark, and his twin brother was Lee. And he started active duty combat almost the day he got there. They both did. They served together. And we got regular correspondence from Mark. And he would tell us a lot of the things that were going on and where he was at and what his assignments were. And I was pretty small, so most of that went over my head. But I do remember things like him complaining about the bugs and about the rain and how his feet were always wet and the kind of feet problems he had from it. Mark and Lee faced active duty combat. They served 2 years, almost without a break. And then one day we got a letter from Mark, and he said that he decided to re-enlist because if he stayed, then there would be another young man that would not have to come and have the experiences he had the previous 2 years. And his brother did the same. And a little while later, the letters that we got were darker, sadder, and he seemed more and more distant from us. And he started to put in his letters things like he was afraid of, when he got home, that maybe he couldn't be a really good father and husband anymore. Or maybe he couldn't find a good job and work a regular job as other people did. And he was afraid that he was not going to be able to readjust to civilian life. Well, we knew that he would have some difficulties when he came home, but I tell you, we loved him so much that whatever difficulties he might have had, we loved him. We wanted him home. We looked forward to it. Now, those twins, they fought the whole time in active duty. Neither one of them got a disabling wound. But the very last day of his assignment, Mark stepped on a landmine. And unlike his brother who came home with medals and honors, Mark came home in a body bag. I want to say to you, and I want to say to Mark, because I know he's here with us. I know he's with that wall. That to this very day, I love that man as much as I did when I was that little bitty girl and kissed him goodbye. He's a subject of my prayers. I've been to the wall many times. I love him. Our family loves him. And ever since I was old enough to vote, veterans issues have been a major concern. Every time I'm looking at candidates, I want to know, are they sticking up for our vets? Because I tell you what, Mark, he didn't have to battle with a sullen and intractable cold bureaucracy to get his benefits and health care. He wasn't MIA. He wasn't POW and abandoned. He didn't have a family who had to seek welfare and food stamps to get by while he was doing his terms. Mark hasn't had to pay higher and higher costs for his health care that he deserves, as our surviving vets have had to. They've had to fight that battle. He hasn't had to fight the government to take care of him from Agent Orange or sarin or PTSD. And he wasn't that vet that was abandoned in a hospital room for 3 days to just die a ignored and ignoble death. But the rest of our vets, they've had to deal with all this and more. And this has been a consistent curse of how our politicians govern. It seems to me that our veterans have been one of the last groups of citizens who's gotten the commitment of the government. One of the last concerns of our government, no matter who it is that's get elected. Now I tell you, for myself, seeing the huge numbers of vets coming home now with unimaginable injuries, lost limbs, horrifying PTSD, burns, shockingly high incidence of suicide, that frankly I'm sick and tired of business as usual in respect to our vets. I have a son-in-law served in Iraq. I have a nephew. He's serving in Iraq, and he intends to continue. And both of them have something that Mark never had, and that was a family, children. Without our vets, there wouldn't even be an America. Without our vets, there wouldn't even be a Constitution that gives us our rights. And I'm telling you today, without our vets, without our military sticking up for it, soon there may not even be a Constitution, and America may not continue as the country that these men have known and loved and fought for. So I have to speak on behalf of Linda Goldthorpe. She is profoundly committed. Her husband's a vet. She's profoundly committed to how our government treats our vets, how the government honors our vets. And she's got a brilliant legal mind. She can read the legislation, and without an advisor to tell her what to do, what it says, tell her what to think, she can see for herself whether this legislation is going to be of any good to our vets, or is it another loophole to get out of helping our guys. She's a strong lady and gutsy, and she's willing to stick her neck out there, just like our vets did, to take care of you, to take care of the people, and take care of the Constitution our men have lived and died for. And she's just bold enough to stick her neck way out and give a voice to the people who have been so incredibly ignored for so long. She says medical care and benefits for our veterans should be covered by a simple, reliable plan instead of a complex bureaucracy that lessens choice and leaves our veteran at the mercy of bureaucratic government doctors. But in any case at all, more care, more benefits is better than less. No expense should be spared for our veterans' benefits. So I tell you, I'm very happy and I'm very proud of everyone who has worked on this wall. I've been there many times with my children, my grandchildren. I even know one of the guys that was a model for that wonderful statue, who died about a week later, by the way. And I appreciate the opportunity that Mark, whose name is on that wall, to go and be honored by Americans all over the country, because a lot of people can't make it to D.C. So I ask that God bless all of you. I ask God bless everyone who has supported this wall project. Thank you for allowing me to speak.